Just wanted to start today's video by passing on my sincere condolences to legacy automotive manufacturers and most EV startups. The EV price war continues to heat up. A new leaked note from BYD, one of the few companies at reasonable scale actually making any money selling electric vehicles, although their margins may hit approximately zero later this year. Tesla, by the way, somewhere around 17%. But check this out. Not good if your name ain't Tesla. Great if you're a consumer looking to purchase an electric vehicle.
We'll start with BYD and these potential price cuts. What level are we talking about here? And what does this mean for both the Chinese EV market and the global?
Well, look, even BYD, with its advantages in supply chain and battery technology, they're not immune to these price wars. Like, they've probably been driving it at certain points. All the companies there are going for market share, and there's sort of a Darwinian play going on in China, where the government does absorb losses or helps a lot of these companies who keep cutting their prices. Help keeps them afloat, but this doesn't go on forever, and the Chinese government knows that over time it's going to winnow down to a few players. Even with that,
just in case maybe you weren't paying super attention, he just talked about something Darwinian happening, in other words, survival of the fittest, evolutionary forces, and then talked about an obvious winnowing down in the future, in other words, a fuck ton of bankruptcies. By the way, I completely agree. Chinese EV manufacturers can't keep sucking from the tea to the CCP forever. They get what they want, and what they wanted was a thriving EV industry with a few successful companies. That will happen. The rest, fucked. Absolutely agree. I mean, there's like 130, 140, 150 EV makers in China at the moment. Like 10 years from now, it's probably going to be about a dozen. And most of those will be doing piss poor volumes. There'll be one or two, likely BYD, and maybe one or two others doing reasonable volumes, a few 100,000, a couple of million a year, and that's it. Tesla, of course, is going to be crushing them all for revenue, vehicles produced. But the rest of the entire top 10 globally is going to be Chinese manufacturers, the ones that actually survive, which will be few and far between. Doesn't leave a lot of space for legacy automotive manufacturers, does it?
Even with all this government subsidy and support that these companies get, BYD's got to maintain their profit margins. They're one of the few Chinese EV makers that's actually making money. So they're leaning on their suppliers to do it, to get a little bit more firepower to keep dropping prices. We saw Tesla drop prices just about a week ago. They offered a special deal in China for the Model Y. It's a temporary deal, but that's just part of the game over there. Everybody is cutting prices and in many cases losing money to get market share. And that's why the Western auto companies have been leaving, because they don't want to play that game.
So it's true, many companies selling vehicles at losses to try and maintain or even gain market share. Not viable long term. Meanwhile, Tesla's still making industry-leading profit margins selling electric vehicles and had the number one selling vehicle in China last year, without subsidies from the CCP and with fat profit margins. Make you think.
Great function on the Bloomberg that we used a lot during the first Trump administration, ECTR Go, maps global trade. And when the Trump tariffs were announced on, Truth Social the other day, I noted that the three countries that he called out, Mexico, Canada, and China, are our biggest trading partners. And that's in total trade. But of course, in your industry, even bigger, right? Not China so much yet, but Canada and Mexico are where a lot of the biggest factories are for General Motors, for Ford, for Stellantis. How is this next administration, this new Trump administration, going to affect the companies that you cover most?
Look, you're talking about 2.3 million cars coming into the U.S. from Mexico last year, and that's a pretty good annualized number, plus a lot of parts that go back and forth across the border, and that doesn't count Canada. So, look, there's a ton of trade here. If Trump came good on these threats to levy bigger tariffs, he'd basically be tearing up USMCA, which was his version of NAFTA anyways. You are talking about more inflation in car prices, period. The car companies will try to pass on any increases to consumers.
So there are consequences, tariffs for made in Mexico vehicles. If they're actually implemented, obviously not going to be great for companies that produce vehicles in Mexico and bring them into the US. The party's going to be over. And it's pretty likely that Tesla's Mexico factory's on ice for now. We'll see what happens. But they did already previously, well before the Trump administration had shared these ideas, say they're actually going to be ramping up the next-gen vehicle first in Austin. But just imagine you're a struggling legacy automotive manufacturer, like Government Motors, like Ford, and you desperately rely on cheap labour overseas in Mexico to produce vehicles to bring back into the US to sell to make a pissy little profit. But you no longer have that option. At the same time, you're having to invest tens of billions of dollars trying to transition into electric vehicles. competing in the same marketplace as Tesla. Does anyone have any ideas how this might end for legacy automotive manufacturers, other than them filing for bankruptcy?
If they don't, their margins erode. So it's not good for them if all of this comes to pass. And, car companies, they can't just find a new source of parts in the U.S. overnight. It takes a couple of years to build plants and reroute supply chains. So look, it would have a massive ripple effect just on the 2.3 million vehicles coming out of Mexico alone. And then you're talking about all the parts flow and so forth. And yeah, it's a huge deal if he's going to really go that big. However, he's made threats like that in the past and not come through on them. So we'll see.
I wonder, David, how this then affects the auto workers. And I know you cover the business of cars, not the politics of Michigan, but a lot of those factory floor workers voted for Donald Trump, pushed him over the edge in that swing state. And if these tariffs drive up the prices of those vehicles, aren't they going to have a harder time making money, keeping jobs?
Now, look, sales go down, workers' jobs are more at risk. And, that is a big threat to those workers. For a long time, though, they've just worried about watching their jobs go overseas. And Trump became their hero, promising to do that. And we do have huge tariffs that keep a lot of cars coming in from China. And, there were some things in USMCA, like mandating 40% of the parts content of a vehicle in order to get the cheaper tariff coming into the U.S. from Mexico. What that basically said was the parts had to come from Canada or the United States. That did probably stop the flow of some jobs from Canada and the U.S. Into Mexico. So there are some things that Trump has delivered for them. I think there are other reasons that union workers have voted for Trump. A lot of them are socially conservative, so they're more in tune with his platform. But he has delivered in some ways on this. But look, there are a lot of unintended consequences for auto workers if prices go sky high because of tariffs. Absolutely.
In fairness, it's going to incentivize US automotive manufacturers, I use the term US a little bit loosely here, who are currently producing a couple of million vehicles a year in Mexico, with labor in Mexico employing Mexican residents and citizens, to bring that stuff back into the US and create more US automotive manufacturing jobs. This is good for auto workers, but regardless of what Trump does or doesn't do with tariffs and job creation in the auto industry, the legacy auto companies in the US are still fucked. And I suspect that there'll be some conversations between Musk and Trump. Musk's going to go, you do realize these companies are fucked, right? Like, they're pretty much guaranteed to go bankrupt. So try as you may, toward the end of your term, you'll have seen insane layoffs here. Trump goes, well, shit, really? Elon goes, yeah, EV prices coming down. They're going to absolutely disrupt ICE. Profits collapse. ICE companies go bankrupt. Trump goes, anything we can do, Elon? And he goes, well, yeah, I mean, we can license them FFC and they can just then rely on their brand loyal consumers, and you can probably license the technology for the vehicle as well. Computer, batteries, the whole powertrain. And they can just slap a GM or Ford badge on what's essentially a Tesla vehicle inside with Tesla Energy, Tesla Motors, Tesla software, and Tesla FSD. That'll help them survive in a different form, but it's probably better than the alternative, which is them just going bankrupt. Trump says, interesting. Regardless of what Trump does, he faces an uphill battle, just even saving these legacy automotive manufacturers in the US. And I mean that. Can he pull a rabbit out of the hat? Meanwhile, a couple of guys with massive brains who've done okay investing share thoughts on Patrick Bateman, aka Gavin Newsom, trying to fuck Elon via Tesla. Because Elon bad.
Topic 2, another reason I'm thankful. It might not be apparent with the topic headline, but, Governor Newsom is rebooting his attack on Elon Musk and capitalism. But I'm thankful for the fact that our great congressman from California, Democrat Ro Khanna, has said enough of the stupidity. So what's the background here? Well, Newsom has proposed an EV tax credit revival if Trump cuts the federal EV tax credit, which many observers say we should cut at this point in time. It's no longer needed. But the government, in all of his wisdom, said he's going to revive the EV tax credit in a way that excludes Tesla, despite the fact that Tesla is a huge manufacturer in the state of California. So Tesla, of course, produces cars over in Fremont, just across the bay from here, employs 20,000 people, produced over 550,000 Teslas in the Fremont factory. This is about as stupid, Bill, as Biden excluding Elon from the White House EV summit simply because he wanted to curry favor with the unions. But the reason I'm hopeful and the reason I'm thankful is that, Ro Khanna said enough is enough. He said, this is my district. Tesla makes 550,000 cars there. Let's not play politics with keeping manufacturing in California. It would be foolish to exclude Tesla. Have we learned anything or nothing from snubbing Elon at the Biden EV summit, right? I'm thankful that we're turning against this stupidity in politics as usual. Calling out your own party when they're wrong is a sign that we're healing. So way to go, Ro, and happy Thanksgiving.
I agree with everything you said. I would add one thing just for the record. I would much rather see us use a gas tax than an EV credit. An EV credit costs the government money. You just spoke about us not having a balanced budget. A increased gas tax would actually bring in income. And
Bill, don't suggest that to Governor Newsom. We already have the highest gas tax in the country.
Well, look, when gas prices spiked in 2009, big SUV sales went in the tank. And there's a reason there's little bitty cars all over Europe, And so if you want to incent moving to electric and getting rid of the big gas guzzlers, tax what's negative rather than trying to pay people for what you think they want. It just creates more perverse behavior. Anyway, enough of my rant.
Ro Khanna and that type of behavior that is bipartisan, that is looking out for free enterprise and capitalism, that's the road to the White House. The stuff that Newsom's doing is just the same stuff that shrunk the party and cost Democrats future elections.
Now, as I said yesterday, Newsom here is really just simply trying to show his allegiance to the one true narrative, which is Elon bad. Guaranteed he's looking for a run at president in 2028. And he figures out this is the best way to curry favor. Propose something absurd that's clearly corrupt and aimed at attacking public enemy number one, Elon bad. Maybe the Democratic Party you think is behind you will go, oh, remember that time that Gavin was willing to try and fuck Elon with this insane, absurd, bring the EV tax credit, but Tesla's excluded. Remember that? Yeah, let's nominate this guy. He seems great. Absolutely crazy. I mean, it's just fucking insane. I do want to remind you guys, when I say public enemy number one is Elon, I'm not joking. They don't have to worry about Trump, right? He's got 4 years and then he's out of here. Can't run again. He's now number 2 and he'll quickly plummet down the list. Elon is now public enemy number 1 of the machine, of the swamp, the hate stream media. Number 1. It's no contest. So you thought this proposal from Gavin Newsom was insane. It's only going to get more bizarre and ridiculous over time. Speaking of bizarre and ridiculous, first, this very short clip from the Crisis News Network, maybe a week or two ago. Rather stunning. Check this out. Party affiliation among people who use X, formerly known as Twitter, for news. Back in 2022, around the time that Musk purchased, so basically the previous Twitter, 65% of users affiliated with Democrats versus 31% Republican. However, look at this stunning change. From 65 to 31, twice as many left-leaning people on Twitter versus right. In 2024, it's an almost perfect split. I mean, it can't get better than that, right? You got 48, 47. Incredible. Let's see what they had to say. I mean, this is stunning. What's hilarious, by the way, is the people that live in left-leaning echo chambers claiming that X has become right-wing now as opposed to balance because they don't realize they live in an echo chamber in a bubble. Check this out. It's important context.
Look at this. The party ID among those who regularly use X/Twitter for news. Back in 2022, 65% of those who regularly use Twitter/X for news were Democrats. Just 31% were Republicans. Look at where we are today. Just a completely different picture. Now it's basically split between Democrats at 48%, Republicans at 47%. And what I should note, Mr. Berman, is this new overall makeup matches the overall electorate far better.
And now with that important foundation, check this out from the Crisis News Network, who, remember, are part of the hate stream media and whose public enemy number 1 is currently Elon bad. Now, in fairness, they do have their token non-leftard, Scott Jennings, who, in fact, I've actually been seeing a lot of clips. This guy is single-handedly carrying the entire network now. But check this out. Remember, Elon is now public enemy number 1. The absurdity about what will be said about him and his companies in the attacks are just going to go next level. Watch this denial over the very fact that was reported on the exact same fucking network. Check this out.
I heard what you're saying about X. I saw a survey this week. It's now the most ideologically balanced user platform.
Scott,
of any platform.
stop. It's too early. I just sat down. I've only been here for 2 minutes.
You're going to be embarrassed when I tweet out after the show, but
you
it's
cannot
true.
say that.
So,
That's not the case.
So
Who's the source of that?
What I find, we reported it on this network.
So starts with extremely and ends in tarded. Can you imagine being these people, the clowns on CNN? The arrogance. Scott cites a survey he saw earlier that week showing that it's the most ideologically balanced. He's barely finished saying the sentence and this absolute twat. Oh, come on. What a dick. In addition, he then goes on to point out, you're going to be embarrassed when I tweet it out after the show. And then he points out their own network covered it. It's just incredible. But the whole point here, these are not serious people. Scott is. The rest of the panel aren't here to be serious or unbiased or journalists or reporters. They're there to propagate the one true narrative, which is Elon bad. So the whole point of this, it's going to get worse. He's now public enemy number one. You have no idea what's going to happen. And one final hilarious clip of Scott and the Tard Brigade on CNN.
The impulse to restrict speech is a slippery slope, but a dangerous one. More speech is better.
Is it really? Okay.
But do you think so? You actually think that X is the place of free speech?
Yeah. I mean, I think. I don't know why you would argue otherwise. Is it not?
Okay.
I think before he took it over, it was not a great place for conservatives, and now it's a great place for everybody.
So fucking painful to watch. So to recap, with Elon Musk now public enemy number one, the machine's going to be coming after him. The hate stream media, politicians on the left, academics, Hollywood, you name it, they'll be going after him. Lies, misinformation, attacks, slander, the floodgates are open. Obviously, his involvement in the Department of Government Efficiency under a Trump administration is going to have a bunch of swamp creatures pissed as well. I'm just warning you guys now, it's going to be a very bumpy 4 years in terms of the narrative. But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is execution. And facts, which don't care about your feelings or the narrative. And watch out for that EV price war heating up. Legacy auto companies are in serious trouble. Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 is awesome. I've been taking it daily now for more than 3 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's packed full of vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus has prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to improve gut health, regularity, and help your body handle stress. I'm always looking for an edge to help me feel and perform my best, which is why I haven't missed a day of AG1 for more than 3 years. Just try it and see how you feel. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. This is what viewers of the channel had to say after trying AG1. I feel like I have a lot more energy since I started on AG1. Just got my AG1 in the mail. Legit feeling the effects after day 3. 3 months ago, I started AG1 and have been enjoying the evenness of alertness and energy that lasts the day. I just started the wife on it too. Are you convinced yet? I mean, hey, it's worth trying, right? Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR or I can keep going. This viewer, after about a month on AG1, definitely a lack of fatigue in the afternoon. Pleasant side effect is that my coffee intake has imploded and is almost down to 0. One more? Yeah, why not? I honestly feel younger and will be continuing to use AG1. This stuff really is crazy good. I didn't think it would be, but this stuff is awesome. It really is what everyone is saying. One more? Don't mind if I do. I've just received my 3rd month supply. I've drank it every day. I have so much energy throughout most of the day. I'm productive, started a new business, started socializing, refurbished a boat. It's no coincidence. Thank you for your persistence, your integrity, and your insights. Now look, these are not my words. These are not my testimonials. This is what you guys and girls are saying. Maybe it's 100% placebo effect. But even if that's the case, I think it's money well spent. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs.